Happening YouTube, keeping this conversation going. We own the city, people that have been on the show. And I've got my good friend D Weave here today, DeAndre Weaver. He's from the DMV. He was on the show. Hopefully you caught it. If you didn't, I've got the footage. He's a black writer, producer, and he's here to talk about his feelings of we own the city, what it's like to be a black writer, and what he's going to be doing in the future. My man DeAndre, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Lamont?
I can't complain, man. I'm very glad to have you here because there are a lot of young, inspiring writers out there tuning in, and I'm sure they can't wait to hear some of the things you have to say about what it's going to take, how to get your mind right to get involved in writing and creating your own stories.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot involved, and I'm really excited to talk about it, uplift people and just, give them an idea of how to do it. Yeah.
Exactly. So we're going to talk to this man about We Own the City first. Like I said, he's from the DMV area. So I'm sure this was near and dear to your heart when you heard about it. And he was actually in a scene, ladies and gentlemen. I got the clip. Take a look if you could see my man in this clip, because if you can't, don't worry. I'm going to fix it for y'all. Take a look at this. Did y'all catch
right
it?
There.
If you didn't catch it, I got it for you. That's my man right there. Now, D, I got to say, you played the hell out of that. I was convinced that whatever the hell they said you did not do it. Look at this. That is the face of a man who ain't done nothing wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Just getting harassed, berated, and belittled by the police for nothing. You knocked it out the park. I was convinced, hell, I'm ready to protest right now for your freedom, my brother. But having said all that, talk to me about what it was like to actually go through the process of getting on the show and what it was like being around the cast of such a heavy show that feels like a documentary.
Yeah, so I applied, I want to say it was like a Facebook casting call. They were just looking for people to work as a background. And, I'm a trained actor. I got my BFA from the South Carolina School of the Arts. And I was just like, you know what? I just want to get some more experience. I was very early in my producing journey. And I said, I just want to go on set and I want to see how this is done. Like if you want to play basketball, you're going to go to an NBA game. So I said, why not go on set and just learn something, especially when it's so accessible. And so it was great. We got there early, had some bomb food, and we got into it. The thing that I loved about that production was how intentional every single person on set was, not only about the story they were telling, but how they made us feel safe. I was nervous because, it's a rough scene. You're getting arrested, but we had, police consultants. We had other people just making sure that we were safe, making sure that we weren't getting hurt. And it was just also professionally run, even though, not a great moment getting slammed against a police car. I felt great about it. It was just nice to be able to go in and do my job and play a role in telling this really important story,
Mm-hmm. So you said there was police there kind of letting you guys know what's what and assisting you all in being comfortable. Did any of the police ever talk about their feelings of having this kind of story being told? I'm sure there are some policemen that don't want this story told because they feel like, the baddest apples amongst them are getting the brightest light type thing. But at the end of the day, this is something that really and truly happened in the area. So just how was the police feeling about this type of thing being shot, talking about the things that happened in the police department?
To be honest, it didn't really come up. The one person I did encounter with, they were ex-law enforcement. And, I'm a firm believer you don't show up to that kind of commitment, that kind of work, unless you're invested in that story. It didn't really come up. But at the end of the day, everybody was just there to do the job. And I just kind of hope everyone's heart was into it. But, yeah.
And how have you enjoyed the series so far? Like I said, you're a native of the DMV area. And just actually watching it unfold on screen, knowing that you was in it, how has it felt to you to see it? And you're a writer, so Do you feel
Yeah.
like this has been enjoyable, been realistic? Talk to us about your feelings on how the show has played out.
So, just from episode one, I love the little details in TV shows. Like in episode one, how they're eating Old Bay chips, and how they were talking about Mumi Masako was talking about it's a carry out, not a, like little details about that are very like Maryland. Those are like it's the little things that make stuff accurate. And to someone who's watching, they might not know the difference between like Baltimore County or like Anne Arundel and like what the different energies were. And I could just you could just tell that these were people who did the research, and it was really cool to encounter that.
Did you ever get an opportunity to I guess converse with Woomy, John Bernthal, Trey Chaney? Did you get a chance to talk to any of those guys while you was on set, or was kind of you did your part and you had to keep it moving?
Well, unfortunately, no. But on my day, John Bernthal was there. But it was just amazing to see him work. It was the first time I had seen someone on that level go talk to the director, and they're collaborating to find a solution. Like, oh, we need this angle. How do we do this? How do we approach this scene? And, a lot of times as an actor, you may feel that it's like the director's here and then you're there. But it was really cool to see them both as artists on an equal playing field collaborating to find that solution. And so it was just cool to be in that environment where everyone's just working together.
I understand that. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, this is my man DeAndre Weaver. He's a writer, actor, producer. He's doing a lot of big things. It's going to give you guys a little light on what it's like to do those things. And if you want to find him, he's on Twitter. He's on Coverfly. He's on IG. Go check my man out. He's anywhere you need him to be. And now we're going to transition a little bit into his writing. So what inspired you to get into writing, and where did it start? Was you first a lover of acting, or did you want to be the one creating the story? And you're also producing. So which one started first?
So I have this very interesting way into this. So I was not into the arts at all until my junior year of high school. I played sports. I did the plays and I did the musicals on the side, but I didn't really see that as a career path. Actually, I was about this close to going to seminary to be a pastor and a missionary. And it was like junior year, and two major things happened. One, my teacher told me you need to learn Greek and Latin to go to seminary. And I said, no, I will not be doing that. And I was like, no, that sounds a little not what I want to do. And so I kind of said, that's not for me. And I was kind of like looking like, okay, what can I do? And this guy in one of my drama classes, like, yeah, I'm going to get a scholarship for acting. I'm like, they give y'all money for that? And so I'm like, wheels are turning. I want to go to college. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to give this a try. And so it so happened that someone had dropped out of the play at the last second. And so my drama teacher made a deal with the soccer coach, like, hey, can I have him for 30 minutes after practice just to do the show? I hopped in. Ever since then, I said, you know what? I'm going to put the ball down. I'm going to pick up the script. This is what I want to do. And so ever since then, it was just really fun to get into it. I started writing my senior year of college. So I was kind of in this position in college where I was the only Black person in my program. I was the first Black graduate from that BFA program. So it was interesting kind of finding my space in that. And so I started, yes, thank you for the congratulations. Yeah, graduated in 2020. Crazy time to graduate or do anything. And it was this moment where I kind of said, I'm tired of having to say the words of someone who doesn't understand me. And I'm tired of having to act something that doesn't feel true to my story. It's like, we have such a limited time on this earth. Why am I doing something that I don't truly enjoy? And so I got with one of my friends. That's funny. We started this production company called Film Bros Productions our junior year of college. And we just started producing shorts on the weekends. And as soon as the pandemic started, we took a break and we said, all right, we're out now. Can we do this professionally? Can we do this legit? And it kind of grew into that. And I just kept writing. I kept writing. My friend, he's a director of photography. And we just kind of combined those things. And we've been able to produce 5 shorts, been able to go to multiple film festivals since the start of that whole thing.
Wow, that is amazing, man. Good job. So you've got a lot of experience in and around the arena. You can lend yourself out to a lot of people who are trying to understand how they can get started and where they can go. And I agree with you. It's always great when you can have stories told from a perspective that you can relate to. And, sometimes that comes down to representation. And
Yeah.
thanks to people like you helping pave the way and other greats out in Hollywood that have helped pave the way, it's starting to seem like we're starting to get those stories told. And it makes us more invested as viewers when we're seeing things that we actually had to deal with in our own life being portrayed on the big screen. So that's big kudos to you for that. The question I have for you is perspective. Let's just say someone, they have no background in acting, no background in Hollywood, but they love to tell stories and they want to get in writing. And maybe they've written down stories in a journal or anything like that. They've got stories to tell. What would you tell that person to do to get started? Like, are there groups they need to get involved with? Do they just write their stories, go find these groups or individuals? How does someone get started if they've got stories they want to tell?
So the first advice I would give somebody is don't wait on the opportunity. I think the biggest barriers between writers and getting their work produced is relying on someone else to produce their work. There's certain projects that I don't have the means to produce right now, but as a writer, I'm saying, all right, this is what I can make with my budget and my time.
Gotcha.
Second, master telling your story. You can't jump into someone else's life, someone else's perspective until you can tell your story. Really think and find what's unique about your life. The thing that was unique about me is that I went to Christian education for both high school, middle, elementary, and college. And as a Black man, that is a very unique and interesting experience. And a lot of my work centers around that. And that's helped me stand out a lot. As far as resources, I will shout them out to the day I die. Micro Budget Film Podcasts. They are on Spotify. They're on Apple. They are little 20, 30-minute segments. I literally listen to them getting ready in the morning, and it is a 3-season guide of how to produce a film with a low budget. I'm talking $200, $300, and how you can make that happen on the weekend. That podcast is how I went from aspiring writer to produced writer. So I cannot recommend them more. I will shout them out every day of the week.
What was the name of that group again, so I can put it in the chat?
Micro Budget Film Podcast.
Okay. Film podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. You got stories you want to tell, you better go get that podcast and start listening. And so that'll bring us into the things you produce. And I found this. Your industry experience, you've got You'll Never Walk Alone, writer and producer, The Mask, writer and producer, and you've done all this basically 1 year out of college. Talk to me about these projects.
So The Mask was this really cool project. This goes back to Micro Budget Film Podcast. They had a challenge and they said, all right, for the month of October, we're going to do a Halloween themed challenge. You get 5 minutes. You have to shoot with a camera phone, and you're not allowed to speak. And so I'm thinking, well, this is going to be hard, but this is such a great opportunity. So I'm sitting here, and the theme is Halloween. And I'm just like, okay, what's Halloween costumes? What do I want to talk about? And I had found the poem, The Mask. I don't remember the exact author, but it's something that we had to read in school. And I'm like, okay, let's tie this in. So the film is about a Black man in an interracial relationship who gets talked into this very inappropriate couple's costume. And as he's getting ready for the Halloween party, the costume comes to life and they have a little bit of a back and forth. And I really wanted to talk about, it's funny in the concept, but it really is the idea of like the duality of Black people, wanting to please somebody, but also want to be true to yourself. And so it was great getting to collab with a lot of local artists in the DMV. I got to collaborate with my cousin who directed, Mike Kepka, who's an amazing director of photography in the DMV area. And we ended up winning that challenge, which was so great. It's premiered at the North Carolina Black Film Festival and a couple other places. And that's the story behind that. It was just a really great film. You can find it on my page. That film was made for $350, and it was made in one day.
Get out of it. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, go check this brother out. I've got all the social media links in the video description. I got him on IG. I got him on Twitter. He's on Coverfly. Go check him out, man, and see what you can learn from this brother. He's here to help. Now, when people are writing scripts, like you just mentioned, the Black Film Festival, are there any contests where people can submit their scripts so that it might can get quote unquote major production or some major company looking at it? How does someone who feels like they go ahead?
Yeah, there's a lot of competitions out there. What in my limited experience and just what I've heard from other people, other mentors, is what you need to pay for is the feedback, not the clout. In the sense of, it's great to get put on, it's great to be on all these lists, but if you're not getting that feedback from someone that's qualified, someone that really knows what they're talking about, it's not really worth the entry fee. Like, it's about growth in your craft, because you can do the promotion of your own script. I'm currently working on developing a proof of concept for my features. And so that's another avenue. Like, if you have a big idea that's not really producible in this whole content, you can do a proof of concept. Some people are now even turning their scripts into podcasts. That's something else I'm looking into. There's a lot of different avenues into getting your work out there.
Wow. It sounds big time and daunting. Well, let me say it like this. So with you having put in all this time and work and energy, what is it that you're currently working on to be your next big project?
So I'm working on two things right now. We have this new short coming up. It is going to be a fun murder mystery. It is basically, if you combine The Breakfast Club and Knives Out, it is something that we hope to be maybe a franchise, multiple episodes coming in, but that hopefully will be coming out near the Halloween season. But the thing I have been working on, my passion project for the past 2 years, is a little film called Expectations High. You will see it on every social media channel I have. It is a story about a asexual teenager who is going through Christian school. And in order to get into his dream university, he has to get every girl in his high school a date to prom. And so this is a little autobiographical, kind of based on my own experience growing up in Christian schooling in high school, and a unique experience that is growing up in like Charles, PG County, and, just how it was growing up. My biggest passion is coming of age stories, especially Black-centered ones, because if we're going to be honest, Black children are not seen as children. And the quickest way to show someone's humanity is putting them on screen. So the more coming of age stories that we can have that are centered around Black children, or centered around their experiences, not only is that validating the next generation, but it's forcing people to see, this is not a Black man, this is a Black child, this is a Black girl, this is someone who is growing, this is someone who's learning, that should be allowed to make mistakes. And it's something that I kind of wish that I had more of in my life, that grace to kind of grow up without having the pressures of this world on me. So that's really my passion, is making films like that, John Hughes, that kind of like, fun teen film that we don't get a lot of.
Wow, that's big time. And got one more writer style question for you before we get to the fun stuff and try to get you on the off ramp, because I'm very grateful for your time. I thank you. I know you've got to be busy when you're wearing multiple hats, acting, producing, writing. And the one thing that means a lot to me is that you was willing to sacrifice a little bit of your time to not only educate me, but educate an audience who might get inspired by your words. So I'm very grateful, and I thank you. Someone who's written their story and they get positive feedback from people in the industry. And let's say that someone is looking, let's say they get all the good feedback, everybody's saying this script is the bomb, whatever, story's the bomb. How would they go about reaching out to Hollywood actors that are big time that might want to take on their story and produce it? Because a lot of Hollywood actors now have production companies. Steph Curry has a production company. LeBron James got one. Leonardo DiCaprio has one. How would somebody go about reaching out to these people to say, hey, I've got a script that professionals said is golden?
Yeah, so something I'm looking into right now, trying to figure out that myself. My first advice is come prepared in the sense of why your story, why now? And be specific in who you're asking. Don't just be like, if you're inviting somebody to a party and you're just like, hey, come over to my house, it's going to be fun, and you're just handing out invitations to people on the street, they're not going to feel special. Figure out which actor, which director, which producer is the right person to tell your story. If you want to do a sci-fi story, find a sci-fi director, find a sci-fi producer, do your research and come prepared. And when they say, okay, I'm interested, have a script done, have the presentation ready, be able to come to the table with something, because I think there is this kind of culture of put me on. But if you're not ready, if you don't have anything to offer, you're put on, but you don't have any clothes on. You're embarrassed because you don't have anything to go. So I would say do your research. IMDb Pro is a great resource. It does there is a monthly fee for it, but on that service, you can look up different actors, see who the managers are, see who their agents are. Sometimes there is an email address, and cold email people. Once again, come prepared, come professional. But that's how I got my talent agent. My representation is just a cold email. Introduce yourself and just see what happens. You can never miss any of the shots. You don't. What is it? You miss 100%
you don't
of the
make
shots.
Any of the Right, exactly. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from my man himself. Now we got to get him some fun questions before we get out of here. So you're a writer, actor, and producer. All right. So we've got to know. I know you've got to be very critical when you watch shows because you're doing all three of these things. So what have been in your lifetime your 3 favorite movies?
Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, so number 1 is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the original 70s version. That movie is maybe just very pivotal in my childhood. It was one of the first movies I was shown, and it's always made me just very interested in filmmaking in the sense of creating a world that you can go to that's not real. Number 2 is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. There's a movie I legitimately watch maybe twice a month because it's on TBS every weekend, and I sit down and I watch it every weekend. It's one of my grandmother's favorite movies. We sit there and quote the lines to each other. It's just something that's really close to my heart. And I only get 3. Dang. I want to throw in a TV show, Sex Education on Netflix.
Oh, hold up. I'm gonna ask you your top 3 TV shows too.
Okay. So let me add a movie in there. I'm gonna say Pleasantville. This is like I think it came out in the 90s or the 2000s, but this stars Tobey Maguire and Reese Witherspoon, pre-Spider-Man and Legally Blonde. If you're a fan of period films, it's a really cool film about these 2 teenagers that get sucked into like a 1950s sitcom, but they have to escape it. It's a really cool film. The cinematography is amazing. Please go check it out if you can. I think it was on HBO Max. I don't know if it still is, but that's just a fun little film for me.
Wow. Now that you've given us your movies, the last question of the night. 3 favorite TV shows of all time.
Okay. I'm going to start off with Sex Education. I love that show with my whole heart. It is maybe one of the funniest shows that I think is on TV right now. And as someone who is just in love with coming of age shows and teen shows, the representation on there as far as size diversity, color, ethnicity, sexuality spectrums. Like there is just someone there for everyone. It is such a beautiful show. Please go check it out if you have time. Everyone on that show is the next wave as far as young talent. I just love that cast and believe in that show so much. Number 2, I will have to say, of all time, man, that's hard.
All time. I mean, it's a lot to choose from.
It is a lot to choose from. I'm going to throw in The Gilded Age. I love a period drama. That's a lot of what I did in college. The Gilded Age is just a very nice period drama. I love the focus that it has both on the Black characters and the white characters. Some of the most amazing dialogue, amazing theater people on that show. If you weren't into Downton Abbey, but you want to try something that's a little bit different, a little less accenty, a little bit more American, check it out. And there is some great diverse talent on that show as well. Finally, the final third one. I wish I would have thought about this beforehand. I really like Seinfeld. I recently got into Seinfeld. And I just think it's very funny. I love everyone on that show. It's just, I don't know. I just like the mundaneness of just like the humor of the everyday. And I don't know, it's something I'm into. I'm into just like shows about nothing, the everyday slice of life kind of thing.
If you like period pieces, have you seen Outlander on Starz Network?
I have not, but everyone tells me I need to watch it.
It's a book, and they take all their essence from the writer. And when I tell you someone who researches the hell out of something, that writer, when she does her timepieces, she researches everything down to the minute detail, and she puts it in the book, and they've been able to portray that on the big screen in Starz. So if you love period pieces, I would highly recommend Outlander. She's got about 5 seasons, and they're still making it. Yeah, so definitely give that a check out, man. Definitely give that a check out. Ladies and gentlemen, DeAndre Weaver, writer, producer, actor, coming through, showing us some love. Let's give this man a soul clap. Very grateful, very grateful. His links are in the video description. He's on IG, he's on Twitter. Anytime you want to learn about writing, check this man out. DeAndre, thank you for giving us a little bit of your time tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, not a problem. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching right now in real time, go check my man out. If you catch this on a replay, it'll still be there until that next Sexy as Hell video. We'll see you. Good job.